بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So today, inshallah, we're going to do some case studies of benevolence. So what Imam Ghazāli actually does here is he has a series of stories, which are always fun to share, about how certain individuals were benevolent, how they were generous. So I want to talk about some of these and see what some benefits we can take away from them. And then I want to have a discussion on, yes, please. Just have, David, can you close the door? Yeah. So on what benevolence and what generosity actually look like. And then I have a discussion on like, okay, well, why is this so problematic? Why do we find that to be such an issue? And then I think having maybe a small talk on like consumerism and capitalism and some of this and Marxism, you know, so that you feel better. I don't know if leftism is a thing. Leftism? Okay. No. Anyway. So huh? A capitalist rock. So Muhammad al-Munkadir, he narrates on the authority of Darda. Darra. So Darra, what's unique about her is that she was actually a servant to Aisha radiallahu anha. And who said that Ibn Zubayr was sent to her with 2 containers totaling 180,000 silver coins, known as dirham. And she called for plates so that she could distribute it among the people, and this continued until the evening. Aisha radiallahu anha said, "Young girl, bring me something to break my fast with." So she came with bread and oil dressing. And Darra said, "With all the money you received today, could you not have used just 1 dirham to buy some meat so that we could have broken our fast?" She said, "Had you reminded me, I would have." So over here, what's going on? I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she radiallahu anha was known for her generosity, well known. Her and Zainab, very well known amongst Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, amongst the mothers of the believers, alayhinna salam, that they would actually distribute this wealth the moment that they get it. They didn't really hold on to it. So over here, this money that they received, where did the money come from? Okay, it could have been war booty, right? And sometimes there was a stipend that was given to the wives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there was a stipend that was given to Ahlul Bayt, right? So there was a stipend that was given to the family of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can get into a discussion on why that is, like, why they were given a stipend, but a lot of it has to do with their status, a lot of it has to do with their position, the fact that they couldn't receive zakat, and not just that, the trust that the companions had in those people. So even Umar radiallahu anh, during his khilafah, when part of the spoils of war is land, right? It's part of the spoils of war is land. He would not allow the land to be distributed to the soldiers. Instead, what he did is he kept the land and then he appointed companions over that land. Why do you think he did that? That's part of it, for sure. Right? To not let them fight over it. Not just that, appointing companions over that land. What are the companions going to do with that land? They're going to divide it equally. They're gonna, not just that, they're going to put it to good use. Right? They're going to put that land to good use. Versus somebody who's new to Islam. Right? Because people are coming into Islam, and part of the reason they're coming into Islam, without doubting anyone's intention, is the momentum, right? There's this huge momentum, and there's this huge tidal force of Islam now. It's like it's spreading, it's growing, and moving in all these directions, and people are kind of looking around like, like I should get in on this, man. Like this, and now people are joining, and all of these lands are coming under Islamic control, and with that control is coming war booty. And Umar was like, take all the war booty you want, but you are not going to take the lands. The lands are going to be under the provision of the state. The state is going to decide what to do with these lands, and you had state-owned lands, and we actually have a management part of the government that handles state-owned lands. You guys know what that's called? BLM. Hassan, good. It's called the Bureau of Land Management. Huh? No, that one doesn't matter right now. So, like you have the Bureau of Land Management, and basically what happens is that the state now has this. Umar radiallahu anh, he appoints companions over it, and one of the reasons he does that because he had spiritual insight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says about the companions that they were pleased with Allah and Allah was pleased with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says another ayah that he knows what's in their hearts. So is there a greater praise that you can have? as for an individual. No. So he's like, no, I'm going to choose companions to take over this. These people who are new, they're not seasoned, right? These new fighters that are coming in, these new Muslims that are coming, they're not seasoned, and there's a good chance that they're going to enter all these new territories, because even the territories that they're entering, it's no longer desert territory. How much value does desert have? Like, so if I claim land, like I lay claim, like this is my desert space, what can I do with that desert space? Nothing, right? It's worthless. I can't grow anything. I can't do anything with it. I can't build anything on it, right? Because sand is always shifting. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult place to live. So when they started moving into these lands, all of a sudden you have like greenery, you have grass, you have soil, right? You have farmland. This is all new to all of these people who are coming to Islam. So so Umar, he decided, radiallahu anh, that I'm going to give it in this way. So now some of the spoils of war, they're coming back to Medina. And even when the money's coming back, subhanAllah, even when the money's coming back, how is it being used? It's being used in charity. People are coming, because now Medina is the capital of the Muslim Empire. And in the past, if I wanted to go get a job, a skill job, where's the first place I'm going to go? I'm going to go to the capital, right? And this, historically, this was the case. It's only like more so in the modern era that you have people moving to cities, right, versus going to the capital. But I'm saying even during the colonial era, where was all the major action, major things happening? Where the government was. So I had to go to government centers in order for me to find places where I could be employed in skillful jobs. So jobs that required those particular skill sets. This is what's happening in Medina, right? Just to get an idea. So money's coming back. Aisha radiallahu anha, she's distributing every single penny. She's giving it all away. And this last part, I was expecting her to say something different. Very honestly, when I came across the narration, I was expecting her to say something different. Why do you think this struck me here? Yeah, because she said she would have. Versus what? No, this is not for us. Like we should give it all away. So this is telling me, does she have a problem with the money and keeping it? No, she actually didn't have a problem with keeping any of the money. Why did she give it all away? Right, that was her intent. Like, because of her love of what? Huh? I mean, loving Allah. There's no doubt about that. The love of giving, right? This love of giving that she had, radiallahu anha, and she was so engrossed that what happened? That she forgot that she needed it for herself. Like, she loved that what others would have more than her. To that extent, right? She's had this inherent love of giving, and it's not a small sum of money, right? You know, it's silver. You know, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of, huh? No, I'm sure you can chat GP it. So like, huh? Yeah, of course. No, the dirham is actually well known. The dirham and dinar are actually well known. Their weight. So over here you have an example in generosity and what that means and what that actually entails and how that is to be. Because she didn't stop eating, right? She kept eating. And not just that, she said, okay, you know, we could have bought some meat. Did she have a problem with what she was saying? She's like, no, we should just eat the bread and the oil. That's enough for us. Like, or we could have bought more bread and oil to keep us continuous for, you know, another few days. No, she was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I would have, but I just, you know, I was just so caught up, I didn't get a chance to. And not just that. Another thing that's being shown here is her relationship with her servant. She didn't have, huh? Grams. Okay. So like, what is that? Like it's like a coin like this. I don't think it's like much more than that. Huh? It's just an estimation. And so the thing is, if you know the weight of something, or if you have standardized, so they didn't have like mints in the way that we do today, but they did have a general standardization of coinage. In general, it was the Persians who used silver for their currency and their coinage, and the Romans, they used gold. So what would happen is that the state, they would issue the currency in the sense that they would weigh it. So, and then after they weighed it, they would stamp it with whoever the ruler was at the time. So whether it be Khosrow of Persia or whether it be the emperor of Rome. And then this is what the Muslims actually used, right? This is the currency that they used. They would take that currency and that's how they would barter. So like $1 million. There you go. There you go. I mean more so, right? Inflation. The next narration. Aban ibn Uthman, he intended to harm Abdullah ibn Abbas. So he addressed the heads of Quraysh saying, Abdullah ibn Abbas is saying to have dinner with him today. So basically, imagine coming to the masjid and say, hey, the sheikh's inviting you all to dinner for his house. Is that a so now Abdullah ibn Abbas he's put in a difficult situation because Quraysh is one of the tribes that he's a part of. So you have all of these people who are coming to his house, and so they went to his home until it was full of guests. Abdullah walks in, and what does he see? His house is full. It's like packed. So he grabs his servants, and he's like, what's going on? So what did they told him what happened. They said, well, this guy Aban, he's trying to cause problems for you. So he's like, listen, just go get some fruits. Go get some fruits, and let's feed them. And while they were eating the fruits, he ordered that food and bread be prepared. When the food and bread was prepared, they set out the tablecloths, they served the food, and everybody ate until they were full. So Abdullah, he said to his agent, the one who he had sent out to purchase the goods, he says, were all these items easily available in the market? He was like, yeah, they're actually pretty easy to find. He said, then let's do this every night. He said, let's host every night. And again, this idea of sometimes we're put into situations, right, and sometimes we're cornered into doing things. What does this tell us when we're cornered in that way? All right, take the high road and do what? Well, not just that. I think that's an important part of it, for sure, right? You don't just walk in and be like, yeah, y'all need to leave. I didn't really do this, right? Because that would have been a bad look. So taking the high road is definitely an important lesson. What else is an important lesson? Sure, like go above and beyond. Like, listen, okay, well, you're in the situation, so what do I do? Right? If you get to embrace it. Embrace it. And I think that's something that's important because over here, instead of being upset, what does he do? Or he takes advantage of it. He's like, okay, well, this is, and look at that. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of shifting your paradigm. It's just a matter of having, you're right. It's just mentality. And we've talked about this before, like, as we've been going through Ghazāli, that in every individual, they own their own happiness. Look, all it took was a shift. All it took was a mental shift for him to decide, like, okay, hey, listen, you know what? I'm not going to be upset about this. I'm actually going to be what? I'm going to be happy. You know what? Let's make this good. Let's make this fun. Let's make this enjoyable. You know what? I want to do this every night. Yeah. Yeah. No. You're coming to hurt his reputation, not to actually physically hurt him. Like put it like because it's like he's gonna have to turn these people away, but these people are from his tribe. So how can you turn your tribesmen away? So he's like, so Ibn Abbas, he embraced it, and I think understanding that embracing is a big part of who we are. And sometimes learning how to embrace situations can be very difficult, right? It can be very challenging, and this is with negative situations, even sometimes with emotions that we equate to negativity. Some of those emotions include pain. I have a lot of phone calls. I have a lot of people walk in. They say, okay, I have grief. I have pain. I have to do all these things. So what do we do? What do we do with that pain and that grief? Is pain bad? Number one. I guess that's a question. Huh? A lot of people they repress it, right? They'll push it away, right? That pain that we have of loss, right? Sometimes it can be with a relationship. Sometimes it could be with a death. Sometimes it could be like some type of loss or some like physical pain that we received. So the question I have is like, is number one, is pain bad? No, pain is not bad. Pain is actually a gauge. Pain is a gauge. A gauge of what? Is it page? Okay, here. If I step on a nail, if I didn't have pain, what would happen? I would just keep what? I would keep stepping, and I would keep going. So what did the pain do for me there? Right? It's a warning, it's a warning signal that our body has given to us. So these relationships, like whether it be grief or something like that, what's happening in those situations? Or even discipline. Let's use that as an example. So spanking your children. Why do people spank their children? Right? Basically, they're trying to what? They're trying to associate pain with that negative action. So whether it be lying, stealing, backbiting. So what they want to do is they want to associate pain with that, so that every time they go to lie, what happens? They remember the pain. Is pain a bad thing? No, I don't. No, it's not actually. I don't think pain is bad. So what do we do with pain? So if I have this grief, I have all these things. Same thing that happened here. I have to what? I have to embrace it. Because once I embrace it, I make it a part of who I am, and it will help me when? I'm sorry? When I what? Right, if I end up in a similar situation, like, so for example, and this is one of the problems that a lot of our young men have, right? When they go to they're afraid to approach women for marriage because what? They want to get rejected, and with rejection there's what? There's pain, right? It hurts. Nobody likes that pain. But is it as painful the second time? The third time, fourth time, you know what I mean? 500th time, right? If it's 500 times, you need to kind of like you might want to recheck your game, bro. Like so the thing is, but you understand, like, so was the pain bad? No, it was meant to teach us, right? Like we're supposed to learn. And the thing is that maybe the first time we deal with death, what's going to happen? Right? It hurts more. But the second time we deal with it, it's still there, but it's not as intense. I'm sorry? This is his perspective on internal gauges. So those gauges, he sets them off as general. He talks about happiness, sadness, anger. He doesn't talk about pain specifically, but it would be included in this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us all kinds of gauges, right? Like we have all of these emotional gauges. How do I deal with them? And the best thing to do with most of them is really to embrace them. Make them a part of us and use it as a lesson. Yeah. Right, like everything we have, like, like I said, happiness, sadness, anger, all of these, the pain, right? These are all gauges that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. How do I utilize those gauges? They're all meant to be learning experiences, right? And I learn about myself. No. I mean that's because what do we call that? We call that harm. That's very different. But saying that if someone harms me, can I use that as a learning experience? Right? That harm can be verbal, it could be physical, it could be otherwise, right? But I can always use that as a learning experience. And when we talk about developing a thick skin, right? It's not because we want to become numb, but it's because we want to what? Right? Not get rattled, so we learn how to pivot. Right? So the pain now, the first time it might be debilitating. Right? It might stop me from functioning. But the second time it happens, what's going to happen? Where I can keep moving, right? I still feel it. I acknowledge that I feel it, right? There's no, boxers, they get punched thousands of times in their life. Right. I'm sorry? Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it, because the thing is, a boxer can be punched 1,000 times. Does the 1,001th time not hurt? It still hurts, right? It still hurts every single time. But what you learn how to react to those punches. Right, because the first time you get punched in the nose, what happens? Your vision gets blurred, right? Your eyes start watering. You don't know what's going on, but it's not as bad the second and third time around. Right? It still hurts. Right? It still hurts for sure. Right? It doesn't get better, but your reactions improve. Waqid Muhammad al-Waqidi, he narrates on his father that he took audience with the Khalifa Ma'mun, complaining about his many debts and his inability to be patient with them. So Ma'mun gave him audience and said, "You have two characteristics, generosity and shyness." Your generosity is why you are in this situation. You're in debt because you're too generous. And your shyness is why you can't tell me the reason you're in debt. I am ordering 100,000 dirham to you. He's like, I'm going to give you 100,000 dirham. And if I'm correct in my understanding of you, right, if I understood you correctly, then be even more generous. Right, keep giving it away. Keep being generous. And if I'm wrong, then you're responsible of your crime of misuse, because you're misusing money. You're not being generous. And you're the one that told me when you were a judge for Al-Rashid, that on the authority of Muhammad ibn Ishaq, on the authority of Zuhri, on the authority of Anas, that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said to Zubair ibn Awam, Zubair, know that the provision of the slave faces the throne. Allah sends each slave his deserved portion. Meaning that, just imagine that there's a throne and in front of it is all this wealth. And this wealth is then portioned to all of these different slaves. Allah sends each slave his deserved portion, and whoever much is written for, he will receive a lot. And whoever is little is written for, he will receive a little, and you know better. Waqidi said, I swear by Allah, Ma'mun reminding me of this hadith was more beloved to me than his bequest of 100,000 dirham. But it's interesting also, like even though the early Khalifas might not have been particularly righteous, they were still pretty educated, right? They still had some knowledge. There's still something there. It might have been before him. I think Ma'mun continued the imprisonment, and I think the one before him put him in, and then Ma'mun continued it, and then Mutawakkil released him. If my timeline is right. ChatGPT, bro. Yeah, sure. This one? Okay. It's easier, man. No, I mean, these are historical events, man. Hassan, Hussain, and Abdullah ibn Ja'far. So the relationship between Hassan, Hussain, and Abdullah ibn Ja'far, Hassan and Hussain, they were brothers. And Abdullah was, you guys know? He was the first cousin. So Ja'far and Ali were brothers, and these were their children. So they started the Hajj from Medina with a camel that was loaded with all their food, drink, and luggage. It was lost on the way. So they headed out for Hajj. Their camel got lost, and as it got lost, what happened is they came across a home, right? They came across this home, and it was a home of an old lady. They were famished, right? They hadn't eaten. They lost their camel, and she was like, "Okay, let me help you guys out," and she gave them some milk. And the milk was not enough. So then she slaughtered her goat. The sad thing is that this goat was the only property that she actually owned. So she slaughtered. They ate their fill and they continued their Hajj. But before they left, they said, "Listen, we belong to Quraysh and we're going for Hajj. When we return to Medina, you'll see us and we'll help you." So listen, we promise we'll help you. We want to thank you for helping us, but we promise that we'll help you. Unfortunately, the woman fell into extreme poverty and took up gathering camel dung to sell in order to survive. Right? Like the situation had gotten really bad for her. Huh? Yeah, use it as fertilizer, right? I mean, it's not exactly a very prestigious work. So, yeah. So look into it. So one day she was passing through a street and she saw Hassan sitting in his house, and he recognized her. And he purchased 1,000 goats from the zakat collection and gifted them to her along with 1,000 dirham. Why did he purchase from the zakat? Huh? But why not just give her the money plus the 1,000 dirham? So if each goat cost 1,000, for example, why not just give her 2,000? Huh? Well, she could have bought it herself. Okay. Well, she could have gone and bought her own from the zakat fund. No. Because if you leave the goats in zakat, how are they going to get used? If you keep animals, you have to what with those animals? Huh? Either you have to tend to them. And tending to them, you have to what? You have to put money into it. So he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. What did he do? He bought the camels because now the zakat fund has money that doesn't need to be tended to, right? You don't have to take care of money. You don't need to water it. You don't need to feed it versus the goats, which you have to. So he took these goats, he gave them to her, and he gave her money. Why did he give her the money? Why not just give her the goats? Like, she gave him 1 goat. Why didn't he just give her the goats and be like, yo, tafaddal? Because you need money to take care of it. He then sent her to Hussain. He's not done. He said, okay, you go to my brother. Go to Hussain. And he gave her a similar amount. So he gave her 1,000 goats and 1,000 dirham. And then he said, go to Abdullah. She went to Abdullah. Abdullah, he doubled. He's like, how much did they give you? He said, okay, no problem. He gave her 2,000 goats and 2,000 dirham. So she's walking away now with a total of 4,000 goats and 4,000 dirham. She went from, like, subhanAllah, she went from cleaning dung to, and how did she get to this place? Huh? By being generous. Like, she had nothing. Like, she had 1 goat. She had 1 goat. But because of her generosity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did he do? He replaced it with like 8,000 times more. SubhanAllah. I would imagine it's at least 1 gold coin, man. Yeah. The gold coin is worth a good amount of money. I think it's like $100 something. Yeah. 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 It's a lot. Bro, it's an entire block. Yeah. No, 100 is a lot. Yeah. 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 So there are different ways that people preserved their wealth, right, in the past. And one of the ways that wealth was preserved was in livestock. Because not just that, man, like you have to understand that even if you had these farms and you had this like preservation, you had these things going on, these animals, they were, yeah. No, it's a huge farm, right? It's a huge farm. I mean, they might be exaggerated a little bit, but I don't think they're far off. Yeah. Because you have to understand, like, this is during an era where this was important. Like, this is how money was preserved, right? A lot of business and a lot of things were happening through this. It's like the way that we talk about, like, stocks today. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's how we talk about stocks today. It's like someone will be like, well, just imagine it's like, so wait, you like own like 8 companies? You know what I mean? Like, for us, it's like, it seems like it's very normal for us. For them, like, these things were normal, man. Yeah. And just imagine a woman who feeds her lonely goat. What do you think she's gonna do with 4,000? She's gonna have like a feast, man. She'd be like, "Yo, all of Medina, come through!" Like, I got you. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Is it layer 1 goat or layer? So, why is it so difficult? Why does that door keep locking? Or who keeps locking it? Make him type. So why is it so difficult to give? No. Oh, okay. There's a fear that's there. That's good. A fear of what? A fear of poverty. Type. So what is wrong with poverty? Wait, what's wrong with being poor? Nothing. Huh? Oh, it's difficult, right? Your options become limited. If you get put into situations that you normally would want to, and sometimes because of poverty, you have to make decisions that you don't want to. So that fear is real. But what happened? Like, okay, if I have $1 million and I give $20, why is it so difficult for me to give $20 from that 10 million? Like, okay, but why? Or you're losing money, but I'm saying essentially it's this, right? That if I fear. Do I actually fear the $20? What is it that I fear? I fear that this habit will snowball to a point where what? I won't have anything. Where does it's fear on one end, but for some people it's also what? It's a love of wealth. Right? If I'll no longer be a millionaire if I give this $20 away. I'll be a 999,920 heir. 80 heir, I'm sorry. Yeah. Huh? Or I can take the money, I can reinvest it, right? There's other things I can do with this wealth. So that fear is real, or that love of having more money, or just wanting to get more money. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Right. So there are people who fear giving, but they have nice cars, they have nice homes, they buy nice things. It's not like that every millionaire lives in poverty because they want to hoard all their money. There are people who live very lavish lives. Yeah, how do they justify it? I don't know who locked that door. So that fear, that loves, like people might live lavish lives. Why is it okay for me to spend money on myself? No, because the thing is, if I'm spending on me, where's the money going? It's still going to me. So even if I buy something for $100 or $1,000, who's using it? I am. So technically, did my wealth leave anywhere? No, it's still there. It's just in a different form. That's why it's easier to spend on ourselves. Some people just love that wealth, right? They just like seeing that number in their account, or they like seeing, those bills in front of them. But so the individuals that we spoke about, they were happy to give. What makes them different from those that are scared to give? All right, their hearts. Right, this is a very important point. But what else? I want you to think back, and there's those case studies were really good, because all it was a shift in what? Perspective and mindset. That's it. If I want to be happy to give, what do I need to do? I need to change the way I think. That's it. It's subhanallah. It's actually how scary how simple that is, and how quickly I can go from being an angry person to a happy person. Because and why is that? Because the same way I chose to be angry, I can also choose to be happy. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya 'ala as-salah. Hayya 'ala as-salah. Hayya 'ala al-falah. Hayya 'ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. So as we were talking about before the adhan, all it involves is a shift in paradigm. All it involves is me shifting the way that I think. The things, but how do I make that shift? I have to what? Yes. Right, I have to have tawakkul. Absolutely, right. There's no doubt about that. I think that's an important element to it. Before I get to the tawakkul phase, what do I need to understand? And what do I need to learn? Yes. Why is it so important? right? I need to understand my triggers, right? I need to understand why is it that when this happens, I feel this way, right? Like we have these knee-jerk reactions to things. Wow, that was Allah, yeah, Allah, Allah yarhamu. So like when we have these knee-jerk reactions to things, right? Whether it be giving money or whether it be taking money, whether it be buying things, and it's important for us to recognize what our reactions are, because the moment I recognize the reaction, I can tell myself whether I can gauge it, right? Is it good or is it bad? The moment I give money, I feel something. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Why did I feel that? I need to have that recognition. Then I can start looking into tawakkul, right? I can start getting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one who provided for me. He's the one who brought me up until this point. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave me? Allah is not petty. Why would Allah do a what am I trying to say, man? What is this called? Rug pull. You know, yeah, I was like, yo, what am I trying to say? So why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala try to do a rug pull on me? Right? That's petty. That's not a human characteristic. That's not divine. Allah doesn't deal with us like that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself as Rabb, when he describes himself as the one who nurtures us, when he describes himself as the one who's merciful, when he describes himself as the one who opens the door for tawbah and opens the doors for acceptance, and the one who will never turn us away, why do I treat him like that? And what reminds me of this is like, and it's a great connection to it, is how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said about Allah, I am what my slave thinks of me. So if I think of him to be petty, and if I think of him to that way, Allah is not actually like that. But what happens? I start treating him like that, and I start perceiving him like that. And because I perceive him that way, I'm going to act accordingly. If I feel that Allah doesn't love me, I'm going to act like Allah doesn't love me. If I feel Allah is not going to provide for me, I'm going to act like Allah is not providing for me. So it's very important for us to understand and shift those perceptions. And even in others, right? Like how we deal with others, how we put up with others, how we stand up with others. If I keep thinking everybody is bad, then what happens? Right? Where you start seeing things that aren't there, right? And I start assuming things that aren't real. But if I assume people are good, does it mean, number one, if I assume people are good, does it mean I need to trust everyone? No, not at all, right? Trust is something that's earned. But I shouldn't go around thinking like, oh man, he's out to get me, and she's out to do this, and like the Zionist dude, like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of develop this insular, you know what I mean? Like the last part was legit. So like, so like you start developing this mindset where you're constantly in this protective cocoon, right? Like and you don't want to deal with society. But being very honest, guess what? Most people, they don't care, right? Like they don't. Like I'm not that important. I'm not that important that everybody cares about what I'm doing and what I'm saying. But we think we're that important, like that their agency's out to get me and they're doing this. I mean, they might be, right? They might be. You know, there might be like these spies amongst us. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there might be individuals or people out to get us. But do I have to concern myself with them? No. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells me. He says, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. That they scheme, and Allah responds to those schemes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of the ones who responds to them. When we talk about Allah protecting us from the unseen, it's not just magic and jinn. It's also those enemies that we're not aware of. I'm commanded to do work. I'm commanded to move forward. I'm commanded to better myself. I'm commanded to be a good person. As long as I'm doing those things, I can put my blinders on, and what is happening in my periphery, I don't need to. I don't need to worry about it. Just put on self-drive, and you're good to go. You know. No, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Yeah, this paradigm and understanding, like control over mindset, this is a very powerful thing. It's actually extremely powerful. Just knowing, and subhanAllah, try it with yourself. Like the moment you're mad, you say, no, I'm not mad. I'm happy. It's hard, but guess what? Tazkīyah is not easy. All right, go ahead. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm. Tell yourself that you're not. Tell yourself that no, because the Prophet ﷺ, he was dynamic. He interacted with others. He said the one who mixes with people is better than the one that doesn't mix with them, right? We have to understand how to deal with others. Like, we have to develop relationships. And until I develop those relationships, and and I'm not saying like, oh, you know, you have to go and become like this super extrovert. No, no, no. But it is important that I develop it. I start with singular relationships. And the only way I can do that is I have to make myself uncomfortable. Because that's part of this cocoon thing, right? It's like, let me go talk to this person. Oh, well, what if he's like this, and what if he's like that, and like, you know, what if he gets angry at me, or what if he thinks I'm weird? Okay, and what? Let him think you're weird. That's fine. Like, all of us are weird in our own ways. Like, all of us have our own, like, you know what I mean? Like, our own quirks. You just need to find those friends who are relatable to you, right? And it's not like, oh, I can only be with my family, or I can be, no, man. The Ansar, they came into, like, the Muhajirin, they came into homes, they had no idea who these people were. But you know what they did? They trusted them. They said, okay, the Prophet ﷺ told us to do this, so we can do this. And it's the same thing in any community. Okay, let me try. Don't be naive, right? It's important that we give people a chance and we test them, not in the sense like, you know, like where we like rigorously test them, but we give opportunities. And the only way to give opportunities is like really putting ourselves out there. And it's uncomfortable. Nobody likes it. But it's not, this world isn't for us to like. This world is for us to live through and to make ourselves to paradise and use it as a vehicle for that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. طيب والله أعلم وصلى الله على خير خلق نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.